Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of the Heart of a Youth Leader podcast. Weekly episodes to inspire you as a youth or children's leader to keep your eyes on Jesus as you serve him and serve his church through working with children and young people. Great to have your company. My name's Andy Castle. I'm the founder and CEO of Thrive Youth Ministries based in the Midlands. And I've been thinking recently about how easy it is for us to be a grumbling church. Okay, really positive, I know. But I think this is something that we can fall for far too quickly and far too easily. To grumble, to go, these things, life isn't as good as I want it to be, or it's all right for them, they've got more resources and more money and more people. And I especially hear this in churches. When I go and visit a church, which is part of my privilege of the work that I do, is I get to visit lots of different churches. And I can remember one time talking to this lady who was telling me about the church down the road. And she said, oh, well, it's all right for them. They've got a much bigger building, a much better space to do youth work in. And they've got far more people and they've got far more money and they've got, it's far more lively. And she went on like this for so long that I eventually turned around and said, this church sounds great. Why don't you go there? And as soon as I said that, she was like, oh no. I wouldn't go there because this is my church. This is my church. This is where I belong. This is where I worship. And the thing is, the danger for her, she was in that place of comparison and thinking the church down the road's got it better. But when I actually challenged her on, well, why doesn't she go there? Actually, no, she realised there were things about the church she belongs to that she loves, that she's committed to. And wouldn't it be better if we were people who loved our church, were committed to our church, rather than we're always comparing ourselves with others? And I think this is really dangerous in our youth work because we can think, well, we've only got half a dozen young people in our youth group, whereas the church down the road seems to have thousands when they probably really haven't. And we think that they've got no problems because we only see the shiny outside. We only see the Instagram profiles of these youth groups. And we think they've got it sorted when we don't know the things they're wrestling with, the issues that they're struggling with, or the temptations that they're struggling with. And I've had my head in a bit of Revelation recently, the last book of the Bible. And it's a revelation, a dream that Jesus gives to John, and John records it. And it's complicated in places, and it's not easy to always understand. But part of it is he has these 7 messages to the 7 churches, and the church in Smyrna is the second letter. And I wanted to just read this to you this morning or today, whenever you're listening to this. It says in Revelation 2, verse 8, to the angel of the church in Smyrna write. Now the thing about Smyrna is Smyrna was a persecuted city in the heart of the Roman Empire. It was a difficult place to live for any citizen, not let alone being a Christian at this time. And Smyrna is actually, in the Greek word for it is myrrh. Now myrrh, we remember, was used as one of the gifts from the Magi at the birth of Jesus, wasn't it? And yet myrrh is an embalming spice for embalming a dead body. So it's associated with the death and funeral, which is always a weird present to give a child. But of course it's because it represented what Jesus came to do. He came to die. And Smyrna is literally called myrrh, a death spice. It's a bit like today having a city called Coffin. It's associated with death. So it's a tough place. Imagine growing up in a place called Coffin. It would be not a great start in life, would it, to be born in Coffin. And it says, these are the words of him who is the first and the last, who died and came to life again. Of course, talking of Jesus, and he died and came to life again. You may be living in the death city, but there's life to come. I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. I know about the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do not be afraid of what you are about to suffer. Be faithful even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown. So this word from Jesus through John is saying, I see your afflictions, I see your poverty, I see the stuff you don't have, I see the stuff where it's difficult, I see your pain, I see the things you'd long for, yet you are rich. And now why is he saying this church in this persecuted city are rich? Because they have him, and he has come to bring life in all its fullness and life after death. And so Jesus is saying, yes, you do have afflictions. Yes, you do have poverty. He's not saying you don't and you're deluded. He's actually saying, I see the difficulties, but you need to see me. And I think when we think about what we're doing to reach out to the next generations, we can always see the difficulties, but we forget to see Jesus. And Jesus wants to be with every single child. He wants to be with every single young person. He made them for relationship and to worship our Father. And so we need to be pointing them to him. We need to be looking for the opportunities, because Jesus says, actually with him, there is life in all its fullness. With him, we get to do the impossible. So rather than going, I can't do this, or this is so hard, or it's just too difficult, let's lift our eyes to Jesus. And therefore he says, be faithful, and he'll give us the victor's crown. Isn't that wonderful? Because the crown in Scripture doesn't really resemble a sovereign's crown, like the crown of a monarch. Actually, it's more to do with a wreath that would be placed on the winner's head when they've won the Olympics in Athens, and it would be a sort of garland round their head, which is why when Jesus is being killed, they put a crown of thorns around his head, because actually it's like the loser's prize. The worst, you thought you were winning, actually you've completely lost, mate. But of course we've then taken that to be the crown of righteousness, the crown of his glory, the crown of his kingdom. And it's like what was intended for harm, what was intended to mock him, actually was used to glorify him and to glorify God. And that's the beautiful thing. When we stop looking at ourselves, when we stop looking at our problems, and we start to put our eyes on Jesus, he spins it all around for his glory. And we go, wow, Jesus, did you do that? Jesus, did you do that? And I guarantee, if we keep our eyes fixed on him, we will be amazed by his goodness. We'll be amazed what he does. It doesn't take away the persecution. It doesn't take away the afflictions. It doesn't take away the poverty. But it gives us a complete satisfaction and a contentment, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. So here's the challenge this week. Let's not grumble. Let's not be people who grumble. Let's not be people who complain. Let's not be people who gossip about other people. But let's be people who keep our eyes fixed on Jesus and keep talking about him. Let's not just listen to stories and podcasts and sermons about Jesus. Let's not just read about Jesus in our scriptures, although that's so vitally important. But let's be people who talk about Jesus. We talk to each other about Jesus. We talk to young people about Jesus. We talk to our families about Jesus. We talk to our shopkeepers about Jesus. We talk to everybody we meet, our Amazon delivery drivers, or our Asda delivery drivers, or our neighbours. Let's be people who talk about Jesus, because he is the one to bring life and to give us the crown of victory. Have a great week. You go for it.